Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.
Welcome to the podcast. This is your host, Seth Greene. Today, I've got the good fortune to be joined by Jeff Gill of Peak Mutual. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Seth.
It is our pleasure. Let's go back in time just a little bit. How did you get into the financial services industry in the first place?
Well, I took my test back in September of 2001, and I started with Mutual of Omaha at that time. So that's when I started in the financial services industry.
What inspired you to take the test and go to work for Mutual of Omaha?
Well, you know, I had at that time they had some of the best training in the industry at that time, and decided at that time I wanted to be in the financial services industry. I was transitioning from the oil and gas industry. That has peaks and valleys, and I wanted to transition into a career that I could be close to my family and build a business. Awesome.
And obviously that was 20 plus years ago. Can you talk a little bit about your journey from Mutual of Omaha to Peak Mutual?
Well, as in everything, not everything is roses when you first start out. So I did transition over to Northwestern Mutual, and I found a home there. I enjoyed working with Northwestern Mutual, got a lot of extensive training in advanced cases. And I worked there for about 3 years. And at that time, I decided to go on my own and as an independent agent without the limitations of proprietary products that limit the options for your clients.
That makes a lot of sense. And how long ago was that? How long ago did you go independent?
That was right at 2005.
Okay, so most of your career you've been on the independent side. What has been your biggest challenge over the last 15, 20 years?
The biggest challenge is really finding the ideal prospects. You know, I mean, as an independent agent, you don't have large marketing firms behind you, so you have to create those avenues and find the people that you want to work with. And that's my biggest challenge.
Awesome. Who is an ideal client for you?
Well, currently I work mostly with federal employees. I chose federal employees because they're the average American. I enjoy working with that clientele, and they need a lot of help planning their retirement. Now, they do have a lot of benefits that the typical American does not have, such as pensions and things of that nature, and steady employment. But at the same time, we all know that as things progress into your last retirement years, you need to properly plan, and they don't have those resources readily available to them unless they seek outside counsel.
What are some of the biggest misconceptions they've got about retirement planning that you're helping them dispel and helping them solve?
Well, many of them are fairly conservative in their investment thinking. And the last 5 or 10 years, they'll, instead of being all aggressive in their choices and their investment choices, they'll go extremely conservative that last 5 or 10 years going into bond funds, things of that nature, and which is nothing wrong with protecting yourself, but you need to have some kind of upside potential. So we help them, guide them there. And lastly, the biggest thing that's plagued Americans nowadays is debt. So I'm finding many of my near retirees within, say, 5 years of retirement may have, debt loads of $5,000, $6,000, $8,000 a month in debt load. So no matter how good of a pension or a 401k/TSP that you may have, it's difficult to make it in retirement with such a huge debt load. So with proper counseling and education, we can help them eliminate some of that debt.
That makes a lot of sense. What have been, I know that you are committed to always improving and always learning and always getting better at your craft. What are some of the books or resources or conferences you've been to over the years that have helped you learn and grow as an advisor?
As an advisor, the American College of Financial Services has great resources, and they keep on top of everything. So I take as many courses as I can through the American College. And then as far as personally, the way I look at my personal investments, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it's a cliche nowadays, but his general advice is great advice for anyone. Look for investments that pay you an income versus just a rate of return. So if I can help my clients learn some of these avenues as far as looking for assets that maybe pay them an income versus a rate of return, which has a great risk as well, that maybe put them in a better situation for retirement.
Absolutely. I think 100%. Now, when it comes to today's market environment, which has, been quite volatile over the last 5-10 years, how has that affected your advice to clients at all? And what have you, we're not asking for any specific advice on this podcast, but what advice have you given clients throughout these tumultuous times?
Protect yourself from downside risk. Learning in my career early on with Northwestern Mutual and Mutual Omaha, you're taught to advise clients, balance portfolios and whatnot, and different mutual funds. And it's hard to sit back and watch them take a 20 and 30% hit. So my current clientele is 50 plus, and typically you see someone 50 plus take a 40% hit. They may not recover from that before they plan to pull the retirement strings, and it may prevent them from retiring when they want to. So that's what I really look at today, is protecting the downside risk and choosing assets that are more income generated.
You mentioned the debt load. How do you advise clients who are struggling to find a balance between saving, investing, paying off debt, and actually trying to enjoy their life?
Right. I learned the Dave Ramsey system many years ago, and I actually went through it, and it's a difficult program for a client to complete, because you have to crunch your lifestyle down so much. So what I teach clients nowadays is we're going to try to maintain your lifestyle, but look in other avenues that we can free up some capital to pay off your debt. And I have a process that I use. It's a process, it's a system, and then it's also backed with a software. And we run our clients through that and trying to come up with an avenue of eliminating the debt as quick as possible. I mean, I have one client that will have them debt-free. It's 6.5 years, $2.1 million in debt. Now,
Wow.
He does have a sizable additional income that he can put toward it, but it works great, and clients really enjoy it, because it's a step-by-step process that we hold our clients' hands with.
That's absolutely incredible. How do you tailor your financial advice based on, your different clients' needs and life phases and desires?
Well, that's kind of hard to put in one category, because everyone is different. When you speak with someone, some people just want to stay at home and limited travel, and some people have these ideas of traveling the world and doing different things. We have to look at what their total assets are and what's reality. And sometimes those decisions aren't easy to have. So this is where, if especially with a federal employee, when they come into retirement, they have a good pension. They have, if they've been saving correctly, a nice TSP that can generate income, and maybe even they have a rental property or something. But if they have a high debt load, that's going to really restrict them. So really the best thing that I can do and the highest return on investment that I can give them is eliminate all their consumer debt. So if I can help them eliminate their consumer debt and eliminate their risk in their TSP, prevent any downside loss, I don't think there's anything better that anyone could do for them.
You mentioned protecting against the downside risk. There's been an exponential rise in alternative investing strategies since the time you got into the business. Do you get into that at all? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, typically, annuities were about when I first got in the business, and they really had a negative view across the industry. They were, and then you started coming in with fixed indexed annuities. We had variable annuities. I sold variable annuities at one time. I wish I hadn't have. But the fixed index annuities have come a long way over the last 20 years. And now they have really nice blended portfolios that and indexes that can give our clients nice rate of return with zero risk on the downside. It just has to be tailored to them, and it has to be the right distribution. You want to keep some of your capital available and some of your capital in the market, but you need to protect yourself to have a volatility fund to fall back on.
Absolutely. One of the other biggest trends that's been in the papers lately and all over the news is the rise of ESG, environmental, social, and governance investing. Do you implement that at all in your practice? Are you pro ESG? Are you anti ESG? Do you believe ESG is a good thing? What's your take on that?
I don't look at it in my practice, to be honest with you.
Awesome. And what are you doing now that you think is going to change, if anything, over the next 5 to 10 years? Where do you kind of see the future of your practice going?
Well, I see that I think the market's going to be flat for several years, if not down. So I think that the opportunity to help clients, if they'll work with an advisor before it happens, before any downturn happens, that's where I see the biggest opportunity. And you'll help those clients throughout if we can maintain that. And then secondly, eliminate the debt. I mean, the debt load of over the last 4 years has grown by $4 trillion to the consumer. So it's just growing and growing. So that's one of the biggest opportunities we have.
You have a passion for working with families who have children with special needs. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, things come about in life that you may not always expect. I do have a son that's he's got some challenges, and it's tough for families to have those conversations with anyone. And I've developed the ability to do so. It's something that you really have to have empathy and understand what the parents go through. It's not just sometimes you feel guilty, you shouldn't, but there is special challenges. My son is 3 years old and I'm 55, so I have to make special planning arrangements just in case I'm not able to complete everything for him. So I really enjoy helping people in that need help with that.
Your passion is obvious. What do you like best about what you're doing?
I'll tell you, Seth, it's putting people in a better position than they were the day before they met me. So that's all we're here for. When your client, when we have a Zoom meeting and when the screen comes up and they're smiling, they're glad to see you, that feels good. Because having good conversations and moving in a path forward, we're all in different stages in our lives. But the ability to help someone and without judgment and work through a process, it doesn't, nothing has a time frame. But as long as you're moving forward, that's the best I can do for them.
That was beautifully said. You are also part of nationally recognized estate planning attorney Stan Miller's #1 best-selling book, Your American Legacy. Share a little bit with us about your passion for legacy planning.
Well, kind of goes back to what I just stated. My wife is 16 years younger than I am, so almost 17. We have 3 young children. And when you wake up each day, you want to have the best for them. And the journey that my wife has given me with our marriage and our children, it's I couldn't pay her enough for it, but I wouldn't want to leave her in a bad position. So my goal is to leave them in a great position. I don't want my children to not have to work, but I want to give them the education to provide for themselves and be good people and help others. And that's the biggest legacy that I could give them. It's not leaving them, $5 million, $10 million a piece. It's leaving them the education to live their life to their fullest.
And you've got a upcoming podcast yourself about navigating freedom in federal retirement. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I do. And what this podcast is about is helping federal employees maximize their retirement and maximize their financial future. So we'll be going live on November the 7th, and something I've been working really hard on and very excited about. Having some very good guests where we're having guest speakers that are experts within the field of helping federal employees or who have been federal employees or who have influence on federal employees. So it'll be a great resource for my clients.
Well, we greatly appreciate your time. We know it's incredibly valuable for our folks watching or listening who want to learn more about you, Peak, and the podcast. Where are the best places to find you?
Well, we have peakmutual.com, and we have another website at Peak Financial Network. It's generated on helping our federal employees. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram.
All right. This has been Seth Greene with Jeff Gill of Peak Mutual. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Seth.
Thanks, everybody, for watching or listening. We'll talk to you or see you next time.
Do you need money to fund your idea, product, or service? Are you ready to take your business to the next level but need capital to get it done? Kevin Harrington has heard more than 50,000 pitches and knows how to help you make the perfect pitch to get the funding for your entrepreneurial dream. He's distilled the process down in his perfect pitch cheat sheet, and it's yours for free. Just text PITCH to him right now at 727-888-2100. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 right now and claim your free perfect pitch cheat sheet. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 to start funding your dream today.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com.